Welcome to Salt Lake City.
Thank you. So fun to be here.
So I know we have a lot of audience questions, but I wanted to ask a few to start with. And I wanted to start, we saw a clip on there with you working with Patrick Stewart, but something on not X-Men.
Yes, Star Trek. It was really fun. It was one of my first jobs, and Patrick actually at the time gave me the best advice. I was very new to acting. And he said, if you look into one eye rather than both of my eyes, your eyes won't be going back and forth the whole time. So I'm like, oh, thank you so much. What a great tip. And then, of course, years later, we met again on the X-Men movies.
How different was the experience working on Star Trek with Patrick moving forward to X-Men? How different was that?
What? He had less hair?
Not much less.
Oh, wow, it was such a different experience. I was more experienced, so that helped. I knew to look in one eye rather than two. I don't know, so many years had passed, so many jobs in between, and it was such an incredible opportunity to work with all these amazing actors on the X-Men movies. Wow. Right?
You worked on more than one X-Men movie, and I'm wondering which one you feel like you had the best experience on, or that you did the best in.
That's a difficult question. I mean, they were all really interesting, and I've really been so privileged that I've only come back in the X-Men series, well, alive, dead, as the Phoenix, in the Wolverine, so in all different capacities, in different forms and stuff. And I love playing the Phoenix, but thank you. I just had wished that there had been a Phoenix movie where we could really
I think everybody wants that.
Yeah, it's such a great storyline. It's such a powerful character, and we only touched on like a tiny little part of it, obviously, in that whole movie.
Well, when you got that part, how much did you dive into the comics and the source material?
I did from the beginning, actually, when I was cast as Jean Grey, because I knew there was such a big it had such a big following. It had been around for so long, and I wanted to do justice to what had been written and all the fans who've been supporting the comic books for so long. So there was, some pressure on all of us, I think, to do this right. But I loved what Bryan Singer did with the films, right? Amazing. He really set it in a reality that we hadn't seen before. All the comic book adaptations had been much flashier, and then all of a sudden we were real people with real problems. We just happened to be mutants. And I think that's the reason why so many people could relate to the characters.
I've got a couple more questions and we'll go to the audience. I want to talk, obviously, about Xenia Onatopp, because I think that was, the Star Trek appearance was a big deal, but I think really it was GoldenEye that kind of pushed that over the top. And so I'm fascinated, as someone who really loves James Bond movies, how you got into that and how you got the part.
I auditioned along with probably hundreds of women at the time who were, up for the part, and it got narrowed down to 3, I think, of us. And there was a screen test in London with Pierce Brosnan. And I really didn't think I was ever going to get this part because there'd been such a competitive process, as all of the, acting roles are in Hollywood. But I was just thrilled to be there. And, of course, it's a pretty crazy character, Xenia Onatopp. But once I broke out that Russian accent, I thought, who cares anymore? Whatever. I'll just do whatever I want to do. And I think it took months before I even realized before they told me I got the part. But that was, I was jumping for joy. It was a great opportunity.
Did you feel some pressure because there'd been so long between James Bond movies?
I think they felt that pressure more. For me, it was, the pressure was enough just to show up and have to play a character like that in a series that's been around for so long in so many, very different ways with different types of James Bonds, played by different actors. And with that gap obviously between, but I don't know, I focused really on trying to be authentic, and also because so many people before I started filming had said to me, well, aren't you afraid that you're going to be a Bond girl and you're going to be identified with being a Bond girl in the future? And then I'd seen all the old movies, and I realized sort of what the pitfalls could be in those types of performances. So I thought, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to be kind of crazy, and hopefully they'll let me be, this wacky character. And I had just a great time doing it, and thank you so much. Once you I think in life, to me at least, when I'm really afraid of doing something and I just go for it and I jump off the deep end, it tends to either reap wonderful rewards or I fall flat on my face. It's sort of the gamble you take.
I think I can speak on behalf of everybody here. I think we think Xenia is probably one of the great Bond villains.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then you're starting a new television show.
Yes. I'm going to be doing a spin-off of The Blacklist, and we start. I play a wonderful, really strong, very interesting woman. It's going to be, and Brian Eggles is going to spin off with me from the original Blacklist. So next year, in the fall, I think in the spring, you'll be seeing us on television.
So, I'm not sure where the audience microphone is, but it's right here in the front. Well, there you go. If you've got your question.
Yes, I'd like to know, out of all of the X-Men movies, what was your funnest moment?
Funnest moment? You mean?
Being on stage, being with all the actors.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun moments. That's why it's going to take me a moment to really think this through. We had way too much fun sometimes. Offset, onset, there were, wonderful parties. Ian McKellen was always the last one to go home. So we just, you have to, you become a family, and especially when you film for so many years together. People had children, divorces, you name it, everything over the years. So we filmed in all different countries, in different places. There are too many fun, and then all the travel for the promotion, so I can't pick one thing. I'm just really grateful I had the opportunity.
I imagine there's as many stories about the promotion as just filming the movie.
Yes, there are a lot of countries and a lot of parties and a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Were the leather jumpsuits as hard to work in as we've heard before?
Well, not for me, especially not after. I did a movie called Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. And nothing was as hard as moving around in that costume with contacts in my eyes through which I couldn't see, and all this prosthetic makeup and things and everything going on. So that leather suit was a picnic compared to nothing.
Would you say that was the most difficult working experience you've had, or were there others?
That was the most difficult working experience I've ever had, because I've never worked with that prosthetic makeup before, and it restricts you in so many ways because you have a team of people. First of all, you're there 4 hours before anybody else comes in. They do all this stuff, and then when you finally think you couldn't be tortured more, they put the contact lenses in your eyes, and then you have to perform, except for every second somebody stands and goes, wait, don't move, your nose is falling off, or you can see this is coming off, and we need to glue you back together. And no, please don't drink anything because no oil for you, and I love dousing my salads in olive oil and all that kind of stuff. So it was just, it was different.
My name is Renee Simmons. My question is, in the second movie, when you push the water away from just not getting the Blackbird to get hit with everybody else, how did you survive in that water, so much water, and then it just pushes you back, and how did you survive from it and then come back into the third movie?
As the Phoenix, you mean? From Jean Grey into the Phoenix?
Yeah.
That's the big storyline in the comics, is where Jean Grey dies saving the other X-Men, sacrificing herself, and then coming back as this incredibly powerful being. The whole notion of the Phoenix rises again and from the ashes, and yeah, that's a very big part of the story, you know, of the comics that we really all love. And
As a comic fan, I think that ending, that sacrifice that your character makes at the end of X2 is probably one of the most emotional in comic book movies. What was it like filming that moment particularly?
I thought it was a really great. I mean, it's a great moment, and that whole idea of you know, sacrificing yourself for your loved ones, and so it was. I thought it was beautifully done. We filmed it both on a soundstage against a green screen, but also outside in Canada. I think it might have been like minus 45 degrees or something. So it was more survival at that point, and hoping that what I did when my eyes were slightly tearing up from the seeing that they weren't actually freezing, my tears weren't freezing.
What was it like seeing the final version with your co-stars reacting to it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that you never see when you're filming it. I love that about actually seeing a final product of everything you've missed while you're filming it. And especially, of course, when it involves green screen work. So I think those movies came out beautifully. I think they did a really amazing job.
Hi, my name is Samantha Arwan, and my question is, what was your reaction when you got the part for Jean Grey?
I was thrilled. It was a very competitive process. Again, I don't know how many people they saw, so I still can't believe that I was picked. Still today, it's just something that I'm so incredibly grateful for. It's just such a powerful and strong character, and like I said before, the fact that I've come back in so many different incarnations of her, including in the Wolverine movie, has just been just an ongoing thrill.
Yes, sir.
Hi. I just want to say, first of all, I was saddened at your death, but I'm glad that Hugh Jackman went back in time to save you. Okay, being more serious, I'm a dentist, live in Provo, and I always like asking teeth questions. So, question: are those veneers or are those all natural? Like, looking good. Looking good.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it like the weirdest question you've ever gotten?
Definitely you're up there with the weirdest question. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Famke.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Esty. So my question for you is, which was your favorite X-Men movie to film? So which one was your favorite to film? Which one was your least favorite film? And do you think you're going to get another cameo in the X-Men reboots? Because I loved it.
Well, thank you so much. I have favorite moments, but I don't really have one favorite film. All of them had their ups and downs, obviously, whenever you film, but I really loved filming every single one of them because the cast was so great, and we had amazing directors. And whether or not I ever come back, I don't know. There's a younger version of me now, so but we've seen younger versions and the older ones at the same time, more mature versions, whatever politically correct name of that is in one movie. So who knows? You never know.
She's good, but she's not you.
Oh, you're sweet.
My name is Deborah. We did all the Taken movies, and it was such a serious topic. I wonder if that has affected your travel since then, and like what you think about traveling now.
Well, I would not want to give that too much thought because my life really consists of traveling every week, every couple of weeks. So it's not something that I want to concern myself with, but I think it's an important topic, and I think it's important to understand that you have to talk to your children and make sure they, act responsibly. But at the same time, I'm also a big believer in not acting out of fear, because I think it just can create much more, many more problems than it creates any good. So live your life wisely, but definitely, as because, you know, the way that I look at it is don't let fear take over.
Hi, I'm Sheldon. My question is, what was your conversation like with Brian Sigerway came to bring your character back for X-Men Days of Future Past?
He's, you know, he had this idea and he wanted to keep it a secret. That was the biggest part of, you know, coming back, that he said, no, he said, the moment somebody finds out, we're gonna cut this. We can't, nobody can know about this. The only way that is gonna work is if, you know, and then of course, Jimmy Marston and I had to travel through a big airport in Montreal. And the moment I landed, everybody was, you know, was working there, the TSA or whatever. You know, I don't know what the Canadian equivalent of a TSA person is. And, you know, the people who were doing through passport control and all of that were, oh, you're here to film the X-Men movie. Oh, no. There goes my part. So it was difficult. I mean, I kept it a secret and it stayed a secret, thankfully, but I was nervous about that it was going to leak in some way, shape, or form. But thankfully, everybody cooperated, or by some miracle, nobody found out.
It was a great moment.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Hansel and Gretel is one of my girlfriend's favorite movies, and she wants to know how it was playing Muriel, and whether you really enjoy playing the villain that you can go all out and be crazy with, or more of a conserved role.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, I've never felt so ugly in my life, so that was an interesting experience. Just being on set, I felt like the most unpopular kid in high school. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I didn't really want to talk to anybody else either. I was just, you know, busy feeling like the ugly duckling kind of thing. So it was kind of a weird, fun experience in that way, that it's just very different and, you know, odd. And like I said before, just because of all the stuff that it came with, the team of people gluing me back together and whatever. I've played villains before, and I felt more freedom with the villains without cosmetic. I keep saying cosmetic. It's the opposite of cosmetic.
Prosthetic.
What? Just got off a plane. Thank you. Not since 4. Prosthetic. Thank you. Prosthetic makeup. In a way, I felt a little bit more limited because I thought that the makeup did so much already that I couldn't do too much because it would have just been over the top and big. So it was a very strange experience acting with all of it. I hope that answers it.
Loved you on How to Get Away with Murder.
Thank you.
With your new show coming up, will you be continuing your role?
I just filmed with them one more time before I start my show. So you'll get to see one more bit of Eve before Eve has to turn into another person. It was an amazing experience working with Viola, with the whole team, with Pete, the showrunner, with all the entire cast. It was one of my best experiences on television, just because they were all it was a well-oiled machine. What Shonda Rhimes has done for television, I think, is just, you know, you can't really compare it to anything or anybody. Really unbelievable. The diversity on set, all of it, just amazing. So I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yes, sir.
Read somewhere that Sophia Turner came to you for her performance in X-Men Apocalypse. Did she actually come to you and ask you did she actually ask for your advice on how to be the best Jean Grey? If so, how did that conversation go?
She actually emailed me and said, do you have any tips or pointers for how to play Jean Grey, and you know that I've done a wonderful job and all that. And I said, you don't need any, you're an amazing actress. Go have a great time with Jean Grey. I can't wait to see it. And I think she did an amazing job. So.
Do you have any funny stories of working with Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson from I Spy?
Any fit to tell an audience like this?
Probably not fit to tell an audience, but it was a very fun experience. We filmed it all over. We were in Budapest and we were in Vancouver. And there's not a take that's the same when you film with those guys. I really love the scene when he starts seeing sexual healing through the phone. It's just hilarious.
talking about names with like Eddie Murphy or Patrick Stewart, or is there any name you've worked with? Is there anyone you've worked with where when you got to work you were just a little bit
Intimidated?
Intimidated, yeah.
Well, I worked with Robert De Niro.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of, being intimidated, and that's, he's really, I've really been so lucky to have worked with such incredible actors. But I try not to be intimidated because it really doesn't work performance-wise. It kind of messes everything up. But he's definitely, on the top of the list there probably of people where you go, okay, I know all of what you've done. I've grown up with all your movies, and here I am in front of you, so.
Do you find that younger actors maybe find that with you a little bit? Because
No,
of
but
your
they should.
work?
No.
They should.
I was just wondering who's a better kisser, James Marsden or Hugh Jackman?
I don't think I can answer this question. They're both friends. They both did a really great job.
I was just wondering, who's your favorite X-Men besides Jean Grey?
Magneto, the partier. I don't know. I mean, they're all so unique in their own way, and they have such great, interesting powers, and they're all flawed and strong and powerful. That's a very difficult one. I don't know that I can answer it. I really have loved working with all of them, and I like their different powers, and I like them as people, and I can't differentiate. What's wrong with Cyclops?
So, taking that in a little bit of a different direction, as you were preparing for the role, you're reading a lot of the source material, and probably Dark Phoenix probably jumps out at everybody as their favorite, but was there another storyline in the comics that really sort of grabbed you and helped inform your character?
That I couldn't answer you because the comic books have been around for 50 years or something at this point. It's just, there's too much material for me at the time, especially when we started filming, delve into. I wanted to focus on Jean Grey, I wanted to focus on the Dark Phoenix and really understand what those characters were like, those storylines, whatever. But like I said before, the Phoenix, I think that storyline is so, it's an impactful storyline, and there's a lot of things that happen as a result of that I think should be explored. Maybe at some point with whomever is going to play her, but I think it's just something that I personally would love to see more of. It's just interesting what all happens. And also, Cyclops and Jean Grey have a kid at some point, like all sorts of things that don't really haven't made it into the movies yet.
So maybe there's some Deadpool stuff, maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, we can mix it all up.
Yes, sir.
In all the X-Men movies that you did, which was your favorite scene?
Scene? I think playing the Phoenix with Hugh Jackman in the lab, going back and forth kind of between the Phoenix and Jean Grey, kind of coming in and out. I think probably that one. It was hard to film, but I like that scene a lot.
BFG here, Big Friendly Joy, and I wanted to know if you were a mutant, what power would you want?
What? No pressure. Yeah. Plus, I've never been asked this question before, but you're kidding. The politically correct or whatever version would be to have like true healing power, so that there would no longer be any diseases in the world. That would be great. Selfishly, I'd like to fly.
I read that you're a literature major, and I was wondering if you have any book recommendations for us.
Oh, there's a lot of books that I love. Really depends on the genres that you like. The classics have always been one of my, or a lot of my favorites. The Bronte sisters and Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, you know, the Russians I loved. But I think there's a lot of amazing literature out now too, so I try to keep up with, and then I read a lot of nonfiction now too. I think that nonfiction is becoming really interesting. So I have a long list of literature and things that I'm reading, but I don't know that I want to bore anybody with that. But the classics are always great to start with, I think. Have you studied literature? What are your favorites, or one favorite? Catcher in the Rye is amazing. Loved it, yes. Good one.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Karen. I absolutely love all the work that you have done, but my favorite recently has been Hemlock Grove. You are so wickedly delicious. But because it was such a serious type of show most of the time, I was wondering if you and the cast members ever had just some fun times where you were just cracking up.
We only had fun times, to be honest with you. When the material is as dark as Hemlock Grove is, and you know, it got pretty dark and gory and whatever, we had way too much fun. Yeah, especially Joel and Gray and I, the three of us got into a lot of trouble together. We just like to crack each other up and make jokes and just keep it light. I think it's very important. Life has to have humor all the time.
And we were both wondering how you prepared for such a tormented as Jean Grey.
Did you guys prepare that question together? That is so cute. Thank you. I read the comic books, and then I really tried to make her my own. I tried to identify with her. What are her insecurities? What are her strengths? What are the, you know, struggles in her life? Being admired by two men. What a luxury. I mean, don't we all want that? So I tried to imagine what that would be like. And so that sort of became Jean Grey. But yeah, what a fun character to play.
Thank you for the question.
I thought you were really great in the movie The 10. One of the funniest parts is your reaction to the line, "Go fly, Cat Gretchen." Did they give you any sort of backstory to help you react to that?
No, I mean, and when you work with those guys are all super funny, you know, Paul Rudd, people like that. So it's very difficult to keep a straight face when you work with really super funny people. That's, I think, the hardest task with humor is not to crack up. Especially because sometimes I think I say something that's funny, and I'm the only one probably who thinks that, and I crack myself.
Yes, sir.
Jij bent Nederlands.
Ja, absoluut. I have a quick question for you. So, when you immigrated from the Netherlands in the 90s to this amazing country, did you keep any Dutch traditions?
Oh yes, Sinterklaas was very big, of course, and whenever I can, I like to do it. When I have friends who want to participate, this is our sort of equivalent to Christmas. We have St. Nicholas Day on December 5th, and it's a very involved holiday that includes sort of poems and making people gifts, and it can become pretty crazy and politically incorrect and funny. So I tried to keep that. Licorice, I ate a lot of licorice, and then I tried to cut myself off at some point. I had a real licorice addiction, which I replaced with chocolate, so it's okay. I'm doing it. Yeah, I mean, my family's, you left. Oh, bye. Okay, next.
I love the show The Blacklist.
Thank you.
I'm just so curious, how do you find the inner strength to play such a strong, commanding role?
I don't know. I mean, the weird thing about playing all these kids, I'm asked to play these characters who, in some way, are so different than I am, and then in some way, of course, I have similarities, so I just try to draw on the moments of strength that I have and not give in to all the insecurities and anxieties and all the usual things that I deal with in my own personal life, and then make believe. it's what we do as actors, and it's really, you know, it's an amazing profession when you get to be somebody you're really not, and you get to live out your fantasies of what it would be like to be really powerful, or have that much strength and all of it. And then people think I do sometimes, so I don't.
So, next question.
I'm a director, and you, in addition to some great actors, you've worked with some directors that are just some of my idols. Martin Campbell, Bryan Singer. Is there any particular director that you felt, as an actress, that you really got something out of working with that really guided you and you had a memorable experience? And if so, what?
I mean, there have been, the list has been really, I've been very lucky that I've worked with incredible directors, including, from the ones you just mentioned, also Woody Allen and Robert Oldman and people like that. So it's been a great list, and learning from all of the different ways of working. What I loved about working with Robert Oldman, because he was such an actor's director, is that he really sort of gave us the stage, so to speak, and said, this is your set. You do whatever you want to do, and I'll put the camera afterwards wherever I think suits the scene accordingly. And you never get that kind of freedom as an actor. Working with Woody Allen was very different, because he was much more specific in, you're going to stand there, you're going to do that, but at the same time saying, I want to hear these 3 lines in the scene, and the rest of you guys have to improvise. And you go, how's that possible? And then he does 3 takes, and it's done, and it's just a miracle how it all works, or not. He's a genius, I don't know, but it's incredible how it all, everybody has a different way of working. I think for directors, what's really important is that they know how to work with actors. So I would suggest, I don't know if you've taken acting classes. Oh, perfect. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned from working with directors, is that, know how to work with your actors. You're there, you're good.
Next.
So, I'm just curious, working on the set of GoldenEye, were there any moments when you were filming that you absolutely loved or absolutely hated?
I loved every second of it, but I was definitely intimidated at moments, because it was such a big production. I was very new as an actress by the time this came about. It was a massive production, and we already did press before we even started filming. I mean, we already had a press conference for, 200 people of the press, and the British press are notoriously difficult, and I had to start talking about a character I hadn't even started playing yet. But I remember a moment where I had to be with this admiral in a sort of semi-love scene where I squeezed him between my thighs. And I'm wearing a sort of skimpy, outfit. And they had attempted to create some kind of privacy for me. So the stage was built up high, and there were curtains. And so that was meant to all give me privacy. And then while I'm squeezing in between my thighs, all of a sudden I look down, and there's a crack in the curtain about this big. And I see all the crew members like looking up. Okay, so much for privacy, but whatever. A lot of people are going to see this, but many more people are going to see this scene ultimately. So, all right.
So, running low on time, we've got just time for a few questions, so.
Okay, my name is Emily, and my question is in 2 parts. First of all, why do you think Jean Grey chose Cyclops over Wolverine, and who do you pick?
Who do I pick personally? I can't pick. They're both deliciously sexy and wonderful, like kind and funny. But Jean Grey, I think she goes for the safe, I think a lot of women and a lot of people in life probably go for safe rather than, somebody who's unpredictable. And, Wolverine is a sexy man, but he's not going to stick around, right? He's going to go back into the woods, I think.
I just want to say thank you for being a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations. And also, my question is, on Taken, what was the hardest part about filming with Liam Neeson, or the best part, where you go through the emotions of realizing your daughter's been kidnapped? How do you get yourself in the character for that?
Yeah, those moments are very difficult to film often because you have nothing. I remember in the first one, it's a phone call that we get. And, you know, it's just, in that very moment, you just have to make believe. You have to have all these emotions. It has to be the right amount. You don't know exactly, you know, what you, it's just these, it's acting. I mean, that's all I can say is that it's, you know, when you're filming, it's one of the first things I learned. It's never ideal when you're practicing, you're rehearsing, you're working with your acting coach, you do all this stuff, you come up with all the backstory, you do all of it, and then you're on set, and all of a sudden everything changes because that day, you know, you just got a phone call, or you're actually in a really good mood because something good happened, or whatever it is, and then you have to go to that dark place, you have to stay in that dark place, and then sometimes there's a problem with the light, and you are delayed for, you know, another half hour, and you have to hang on to this without losing it. So it's never ideal, and you just have to go with whatever happens. And you know, that's sort of the interesting part about filming on movie sets or television sets. You just, whatever happens, go with it, and do all the homework beforehand, so you have always something to fall back onto.
So I want to ask, as he mentioned, your work as a UN Goodwill ambassador, what does that entail?
It's different. I've worked with the UN in the past. I've worked with Gorbachev and Green Cross International for water-related topics mostly, which is the biggest problem we're all facing between flooding and drought and, you know, all of the massive, you know, hurricanes and rain, all of that we're seeing. But also recently with the UN for wildlife poaching, which is now becoming a really big problem. And so it entails different things. I was at the UN last month and I worked with them, and fascinating to see on a big panel with all the people who are experts in the field, and you know, just what can you do? I mean, how many more elephants need to be killed before people are going to make it, you know, before they become fully extinct? And so it's just bringing awareness to these topics, and you know, spreading the word, and just seeing whatever you could do individually.
I think we're just about out of time, and I want to thank the crowd here for you guys. You guys had some great questions.